My name is Adi, and I always say I'm here just like you, supporting this incredible process of planetary ascension. And at the same time, we also come with many different missions, with many different skills. And we also exist in so many different dimensions, and you can find yourself in many different versions of yourself. And I think sometimes we are really astounded when we find ourselves as all these ascended beings in these very high dimensions, and yet we still somehow ended up here. And we ended up here out of service. We really came here to serve. Some people ended up here to clean up some karma, but and I think maybe us too, but mainly we came here to be of service. Planet Earth has not been an easy place for several reasons. For those of you who have had other memories and reincarnations, you know that when a planet kind of gets disconnected from the cosmic web of intelligent love light, it's not an easy place to be. In cosmic terms, it doesn't matter so much, but when you think of the entire cosmos as one big body, then when you have like an annoying problem somewhere where things are not flowing so well, in the end, it is still really taken away from the potential that cosmos has for harmony, for love, for peace, for thriving. And the way that I have seen this is that one of my really embodiments in cosmos is to be a cosmic oracle. It's a team of what I would call divine feminine beings who serve divine mother, really. And as those beings, we use very specific crystal technology, and that we have kind of implanted in our higher mind. And with these crystals, we receive information from the mind of God, from the mind of Creator, really. And we are able to read cosmos, which, you know, it's a lot of information running through cosmos. And then we kind of make predictions about which way this is all going. But it's not about really making predictions like, you know, the Earth will experience this or that. It's more about predicting evolutionary trajectory of cosmos itself. So I guess that's the only way that I can describe how some of this information lands here in our group with the Green Tara. And so every day as I meet with these beings in cosmos, and we have so much fun reading this, I always say there is never a problem, really. And yet some things are not there yet when it comes to harmony and love. And so planet Earth really has been in a place that we would call not there yet when it comes to peace. And peace is a very important quality because, as you can imagine, when you read cosmos and when you are one with what we would call the prime creator, then the original intentions, which we can call the original divine plan, are intentions of love, intentions of thriving, which we would translate as maybe abundance, peace, kindness, goodwill. So there is no ill intent in the heart of creation. And then you have worlds, of course, because cosmos is pretty big, and just imagine all the galaxies. And so when you have a world where things are kind of deteriorating, then eventually maybe it will get better and maybe not. But the beings who actually exist in these worlds, like you and me right now on planet Earth, have amazing power. And I've met some beings who embodied on the Earth that are actually no longer here, who worked in the ethers on planet Earth to always bring more peace and harmony to all of humanity. The way that Divine Mother explained this to us, as she has been speaking to us the last few years every day, she said that since everything is energy, since everything is life force, nothing can be created without life force, then if we use life force to create more love and more kindness and more service and just more peace and, you know, all the great things, then that life force is in harmony with all life, and it just, everything thrives. It's kind of like bringing fertilizers into a world. So even just one act of kindness can actually fertilize goodwill in the entire planet. And sometimes we don't think of our acts as being so influential and important. But the thing is that who can see the ethers absolutely must know that every thought you have, every feeling you have, every word you say, every action you take, even if you are behind closed doors and you think no one can see you and no one can ever find out who you truly are, it is absolutely the opposite. In the ethers, everyone is visible. In the ethers, everyone looks like an energetic signature. And so in the ethers, I always say, when people think they can just lie to someone and no one will find out the truth, it is not true, because in the ethers, everything is known about us. And so that's how, oracles work. They look into the ethers of things. And that's where everything is, color and frequency and information. It's all information. And from this perspective, if we are on a planet with 8 billion people, then you can imagine what happens when you have unconsciousness present in many of them, then it affects all of us. And that is maybe what people call the law of one, because we need to awaken to our own responsibility for our own energetics. And of course, it is in our highest interest to be spreading goodwill, love, respect, understanding. The only thing is that it actually boils down to consciousness. So we have two forces really in this world, and that is consciousness and unconsciousness. As far as I can tell from my cosmic explorations, unconsciousness is not present in all worlds. And this world, it definitely is this big experiment. And who knows who started it? Some people say it was the Pleiadians, some people say it was the Anunnaki, then some people say the Anunnaki didn't know. It really doesn't matter. But the thing is, if you look at this world, it kind of is a world of black and white, and yet we would like it to be rainbow. Rainbow is the color of the creator. Rainbow is the color of creation. And it's not just because rainbow is so nice. Rainbow is so nice. It really speaks to our souls. Rainbow is really when we achieve our own enlightenment. And what does it mean to achieve enlightenment in cosmic terms? So in cosmic terms, a being that has transmuted in this world, in this actually planet Earth. So since this world was designed to be kind of black and white, the consciousness, the light, and the darkness of unconsciousness, then our goal is to actually activate the rainbow within us. And that means we transcend the separation of duality of the white and black, the unconsciousness and consciousness, and we fully transcend our own limitations. Our limitations in this world are not easy to deal with, right? So we have the emotional limitations. We have fear as a very big virus in this world, and that is a trap. It's really hard to deal with that one because it comes in so many different versions and has so many faces that sometimes we don't even recognize that we have fear within us. And so, we have the mystics speaking about liberation. We have the mystics speaking about self-realization, about mastery, about awakening, about enlightenment. And what it really means is if you look at yourself as a being that contains some consciousness, hopefully a lot, and then a little bit of unconsciousness at this point, maybe just a little bit, then if you do your inner alchemy of transmuting, transcending, cleaning up the system, you actually empty yourself. And we call it the hollow bone, and we call it liberation. And only when the vessel, the being, the Holy Grail is empty, the rainbow light of your divine self, the God self, floods in. It is very mechanical because the whole universe, the whole cosmos has laws that we would recognize as the laws of physics, for example. And so when the vessel is empty, the universe does not have to wait for you to call something in. It just comes automatically because this life force of God, of rainbow light, is all around us. It is in nature mainly. It is, of course, in the cosmic nature. And so she sees and feels and knows when we have become an empty vessel. So it's like the water is flowing everywhere. And when you empty your cup, the water will just flow into you. And so that's how it works. That is really the goal and that's what enlightenment is when we have made room for our divinity to actually flow in fully and completely. And this is happening on planet Earth. And right now, we have still unconsciousness on planet Earth, and it is playing out in different ways. And for example, with our team, we are focusing on the conflict, which could potentially lead to World War III, which is really astounding, in Ukraine and Russia. And it's not that like Russians are bad and the Ukrainians are good. That would be like still the thinking of like judgment. It is more like brothers and sisters of this planet. We all have the potential to come to a place of what I would call consciousness again. And that means from a place of consciousness, we do not engage in conflicts. Because from a place of consciousness, we actually do not look outside in a way to blame others, to fight others, let alone kill others. But we always look within, we find peace. And once we find the peace within, we just keep smiling and really walking lightly on this beautiful planet. The thing is that we can not really reach unconsciousness through exposing them to us physically, right? Like if you go and preach to people who just don't get it, they will never get it. But what we have is the power of magic. We have the power of magic, which also is a cosmic tool, as you can imagine. And the power of magic has been known to the alchemists on planet Earth for forever. And we learn this in the inner temples that we go to on inner planes, and we always practice magic. And so when we come back to planet Earth, we have amazing tools. So magic is a cosmic game of creation, and we have to always use it responsibly with consciousness. Once again, consciousness is always the key to all things. And that means consciousness always is love. Love and consciousness, they are like one energy, always connected. And some people call it love light. It really is a force that is kind and that cares deeply for things and people and animals and plants and the earth herself and our brothers and sisters all over the world. So how do we approach a situation like this? We can only approach it from a point of love, because that's the only way that Divine Mother can create peace. So when she looks at our world, or when God, Father, looks at our world, of course, war is very unconscious. It is the highest expression of unconsciousness. And if you're familiar with how we fell in consciousness due to many different things, then it was very sad, because when we experienced the fall of Moon, it was because a being would hurt another being, actually kill another being. And the same thing happened at the end of Atlantis. It was a major misuse of life force. And some people say it was technology, but actually what it was the use of our free will. So we had in Atlantis misuse of life force, where humans, we can call them humans, even though there was a lot of beings that mixed together from different stars, they actually started to misuse life force. Some of it was war, some of it was sexuality and lust. And it is hard to describe it in terms that would actually make sense to our current consciousness, because some things that actually are not natural became completely normal. And that's always dangerous. So in this world, some people say, oh, war is kind of normal. But it's not natural. And so Divine Mother always says, make a difference between natural and normal. So what has become acceptable, or maybe not even acceptable, but accepted as normal, is most probably unnatural. And so you can now examine through the eyes of Divine Mother all that is natural and all that is actually not natural. So there's many things going on. But again, when Divine Mother looks into our world, of course, her desire is to have peace. And that is also when we speak with the eye of God, which also is actually like one of the things that I was trained for in cosmic terms. So you go and open the eye of God, which is kind of like the pineal gland of the cosmic system. And you can have a conversation with the eye of God. And it was a few months ago that I spoke to the eye of God, and we looked into our world, and the eye of God said, no, you guys are not ready. You're still at war with each other and with yourselves. And so we are on a big mission. Divine Mother gave us a mission. It was, I think, in 2020, when she said, we need as many people as possible in this world to be anchoring the spiral of Divine Mother, that rainbow serpent of creation, into the earth, because there will be a time when this will be really needed. And so that's what we need to do right now. The spiral of creation as the rainbow serpent, as she comes through you when you are outside, anchor her in. It is the energy of Divine Mother. The energy of Divine Mother is the energy that was missing the most as we were going through this kind of dark age for the last many thousands of years. But she is now back because of our movement with the galactic spiral, really. And so as we are exposed to more and more light again, the Divine Mother can come back fully. And of course, she needs us to allow her to come through us. And she always comes through those who are filled with love and innocence and have an open heart, because obviously that's like a matching frequency. And so Divine Mother is a very real being. And if you have met her, then you know. If you have not met her, call her in. She will come and appear to you. Yogananda always said she responds to cry babies. And I think that's really funny. But so the mystics could see her. And the mystics got to meet her. She would appear in many different forms. And so, to Yogananda, she would appear as Kali one day when he had some requests for her. And she can definitely appear in many different forms. So I have seen her, I have met her. She came in the physical several times. And it is mind-blowing that's even possible, to have the manifestation of this Divine Mother in a physical form, in many different forms, where she actually chit-chats with you and she gives you instructions and all her love that she has for us. She loves all of us. To her, we are all her children. So whether it is, again, Russia, Ukraine, who knows what, it is all her children, and she just wants to get to us and through us. And again, it can only happen through the light of consciousness. And so peace is absolutely essential. It is only when a planet like ours can truly transmute conflict into peace that we suddenly actually can be allowed to enter what people call heaven or the new earth. Now, personally, I have no idea actually how we could get there if we just allow this to be a natural evolution without any interference. But we're going to have interference from our galactic core and from our sun. And that will help us with the reset of consciousness and unconsciousness on planet Earth. And I know that's coming. It is written in the stars for us as humankind. But for now, let us do whatever we can do to be anchoring the rainbow spiral of our mother outside into the earth and sending the energy of peace. Even a small act of kindness like that will make a big ripple in the quantum field. And since all of humanity is in the same quantum field, we call it the collective consciousness and the collective unconsciousness, then it is up to us to create this network, to be actually running this high love, light, consciousness, peace, kindness, truth, and all the great stuff that we embody in this world. So Divine Mother also told me, and this is a while ago, that since everything is created out of life force and energy, it eventually has to somehow come to a 0 point. And eventually this energy cannot be out of balance anymore. So what she does, and you know that this was actually kind of a very sad moment for the earth, when we have a lot of accumulated energy that has been misused, like at the end of Atlantis, that's my memory. That was a very heartbreaking moment for the earth, actually. So we tried so hard to have intervention from other actual levels of creation. So we sent all these very high level beings to this kind of fallen planet at the end of Atlantis. And so there was a lot of misuse of life force. And of course, this created mountains, let's call it that in energetic terms, of misuse life force. You cannot leave it at that and keep going. Eventually, there is a need for chaos. And the chaos is created through the elements. So we have the 5 elements who create realities. And so when the energy becomes too out of balance, it reaches a tipping point. And at a tipping point, we end up with things like floods and tsunamis and earthquakes and exploding volcanoes. And that is because what nature is trying to do, she's trying to heal herself from the misuse of life force. So you can imagine it's the same thing in the human body. When we are out of balance and we have too much toxicity, it kind of needs something that we call disease. And disease is a healing mechanism, actually. So it's like nature trying to find a way. And so she will find any way to actually come back to an equilibrium. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope so. So it is, again, in our highest interest for nature to actually not to have to do this, because that hurts her if she has to hurt her own body just so that she can kind of disperse this accumulated energy in one place. So, we have a lot of energy accumulating here on planet Earth from every single one of us. And that's why we need to be so responsible. And that's not something that is natural for us, right? To be so responsible with life force. And it's just now in our hands what we're going to do with this planet. So there are a few things we can do. People call it light work. And definitely it's a thing where we work with nature to transmute whatever has accumulated so that it doesn't have to become chaos, in a way, disaster, so that she doesn't have to move her body to actually kind of shake it off and shake everyone up and just release, right? So I guess it would be like her crying in a way if you compare it to that. So since we are the beacons of consciousness on this planet, there's so much we can do. We can definitely work with transmutation. So people use the violet flame. Yogananda used he called it the fire of God. So he would actually ask me to always visualize it as real fire. And so asking this fire of God to be transmuting all this accumulated energy of unconsciousness, because it is, in a way, it's just magic, right? And because we are magicians, we can do this. So I'd like to encourage everyone to care for this planetary body in this way, and to every day maybe sing a song to her, go outside and touch her, hug her, kiss the earth, be with her, tell her you love her. And she is a quantum field in the end. So if, let's say, 40 of us around the earth every day, and I know that's hopefully thousands, if not millions of us, who are in love with life, which is the goal of all things. And I'm going to say that one more time, because this is actually the most important message Divine Mother has for all of us. Her desire that she has one desire, and that is for us to love life. To love life, because she is the goddess of life. And so who can love life truly, unconditionally, has fulfilled their purpose. And you can imagine what that means. It means so much more than we can actually right now understand, I think, intellectually. Because if we truly love life, we no longer are conditional. And we are the magicians who constantly flow with her and understand her. So thank you so much. And I will see you in the ethers, doing some planetary magic and transmuting all this energy so that our goddess can experience peace. And she calls it when the pendulum stops swinging, the 0 point comes, and we open our hearts and let her in.